Live. Welcome, everyone, to the 79th edition of Playtest This. After a small hiatus since our last guest, Brian PIcarillo, joined us, our current guest tonight is Brian PIcarillo. But, but he has a different game with us today. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. Thanks for coming on. Oh, there we go. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Technical difficulties. That's okay. Somebody tell me if somebody's in the chat. But before we get to that, let's welcome our esteemed panel of guest designers. Matthew, who are you?
Hello, I'm Matthew. I made a game licensed to Krill, just fulfilled the backers basically 2 weeks ago and even this week, and went to PAX convention and did very well. This is the first time it's ever been available to retail, so exciting feeling, and working on my second game, which is about octopuses at the moment. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. Thanks for joining last minute since I just put this up yesterday. Brian, who the heck are you?
I'm Brian PIcarillo. I run emberleafgames out of Maine. Currently showcasing Critter Crimes, but before that, I've been showcasing Fame and Fortune, which will have a Kickstarter coming out in March. So hopefully that takes off. I am in a showcase in Boston on Sunday, so that would be cool. I might win an award for it, so that would be fun.
Sweet. For Fame and Fortune?
For Fame and Fortune.
Yeah, sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
The game that's almost published.
Right. It's so close. Well, welcome. Oh, I'm Evan Halbert, designer of After the Empire and several other things that are coming out at some point in the near future. You still have a chance to go buy 14 more copies of After the Empire. So, yeah, while supplies last. Okay, let's get into, and at some point Eric might show up, I don't know. Let's get into the game.
He did connect to tabletop for a moment, so
Did
he's
he?
trying, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that son of a gun. We'll see if he shows up. He might.
You sent him the link, right?
I did.
Okay,
But he
cool.
said he
Saw a
wasn't
fourth
sure.
person connect.
He said he wasn't sure if he was gonna make it home in time. So we'll see. He might join us.
He can always join in and just catch up.
Oh yeah, no,
Figure it out.
He'll be fine. But why don't you go ahead and give us the teach?
Sure. So, Critter Crimes is a 2 to 5 player asymmetric game where players take on the role of anthropomorphized versions of New York City crime bosses in the 1930s. Each character is loosely based around one of the original five crime family members. In this game, you'll be vying for control of Central Park, New York City's 6th borough, and you'll do so by influencing others to do your bidding, getting other mafia members to join you, building boroughs, and taking control of the park. In this game, there are dice that are used as resources that are used to buy things. The value of the dice is considered currency, so this dandelion would be worth 2. Every round, we will take a die from the food bag and place 1 on each space. You guys can actually help me with this to set it up. Just kind of drag a dice down and put it onto a space. There are 5 types of dice in this game. There are berries, eggs, crickets, dandelions, and acorns, and they are all color-coded. If you have a question about which one is which, that it sounds like it's your problem, but I think they should be self-explanatory. Every character that you can play as in this game is listed below. There are 5 different options, and we're each going to be choosing one when we start the game. Each one is good at different things, so I would pick one that kind of fits your play style. The main attributes that make them different are that they all have an ability, they all have 4 different modifiers, and they all have a different favorite food and resource, which are listed on the card. I'm going to just take one option out of your hands and choose the goose character. So I'm going to choose yellow. You guys can feel free to change your characters once I've described the rest of the rules.
I already chose.
I'll
Okay,
just be green if it's okay.
sure. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have a whale.
Jimmy
That's
the
on brand
Whale.
for me, so yeah, that would have
That's
been
on.
good.
So I think that's all. There should be one dice left in the bag.
Then all my
Dice.
puns and my jokes for krill and for whales could be applicable now.
All right,
I've got a
so
krillian oven. So.
oh my gosh. I bet by now though you do have a whole ton of them. There we go. So in this game, you will be starting off in one location and your player meeple will represent you as a player. So for instance, I'm going to choose a starting location and put him, let's see, I'm going to put my goose right here in the Croton Reservoir. And you all start with one burrow. You can have up to 5 burrows, and they are represented by these little discs. I'm just going to put mine on the board so I can kind of explain how to play, and then you guys can choose your spaces after that. So,
TK's in the chat, by the way.
oh, cool. What's up?
Cool.
Hope you enjoy it. When you are taking a turn, the first thing you'll do is you'll move from one space to another. And you can move as many spaces as you run, which is the little green paw print on your card. So my goose character has a run of 4, so I can move my meeple 4 spaces. As you do so, you're going to pick up any dice that you come across. So there's this 3 that I started on. I can pick up this 3 here. That's 1 space of movement. I can go up here. It's 4. It's 3 spaces, and then this would be the 4th one. Once you've arrived at a destination, if you are standing on a resource like this piece of mud and there is one up in the tableau, you can take it for free. So I'll take this piece of mud because I landed on a space that has mud in it. And then you'll be spending your dice in order to buy cards. You can either buy resource cards or you can buy event cards. When you buy resource cards, you'll be gathering them underneath your player card until you have enough of them in a diverse enough selection to build a burrow, which is inclusive of a stick, grass, mud, and a leaf. Whenever you have all of those things, you can spend them and return them to the discard pile in order to build a burrow on the space that you are on. You just can't build on a space that already has a burrow. Or you can upgrade your burrow. If you have the necessary resources, you can upgrade it. It will be worth more points at the end of the game. So every character has the same building supplies for their burrow, and then every character has a different set of things needed to upgrade. All of them need 2 bark, and then there's a individual resource. So for my goose, I need leaves specifically. Once you are done buying resources, you could buy event cards. There are 3 different decks of cards that you could buy from, and they relate more or less to the different things that you could do in New York as a criminal animal. There are zoo animals. That's the center deck. And this is equivalent to recruiting additional animal characters to your mafia. And they each give you like a one-time use ability. There are net cards, which is from the art gallery. You can steal famous pieces of art. They are all anthropomorphized versions of things that already exist in the 1930s. So Catastrophe is a real painting, it just doesn't have cats in it. Or you can participate in a racket, which is like a criminal enterprise word for doing something illegal, like stealing or guarding nuts, whatever you want to participate in. Those are types of cards that you can buy. The way that you buy cards in this game is unique. It's different than other games. Normally you see a card and it costs 3 and you pay 3 and you get the card. In this case, that still happens, but you're allowed to be off by a little bit. And that tolerance is given to you by whatever your modifier number is. So if I wanted to buy this leaf, for example, this leaf costs 3. So it says, on my sheet, I have a gather of 1. That's the blue. So I'm relating the blue color of the cost to the blue icon I have. The gather lets me buy this leaf for between 2 and 4. So basically plus or minus 1 of the cost. If you buy at the exact cost, you get the resource. If you buy at a difference, so if I paid 2 for this leaf or 4 for this leaf, I would get the card and I would get 1 point. So you're incentivized to pay not the exact value of the card. And that is representative of you either stealing or embezzling or overpaying and cooking the books. So every time you pay for something, you want to try to get as far off from that value as you can to gain points within a round. The same goes for trying to buy any of the other cards. All of them have a, I guess, to hit number. So this catastrophe card here has a speed of 15. And if you collectively pay dice that equal 15, you will get the card. But if, Evan, your speed modifier is a 3, you're allowed to pay anywhere between 12 and 18. And in doing so, you could get 3 points if you are off by 3. Does that make sense? Because that's probably the most complicated part.
Just following along with the blue, what was the speed?
So this card here has a green box for the 15.
Mhm.
So you would use your green modifier instead of the blue one.
In this case, my green is 3, so 3 is far off from 15, so I would get the bonus, you're saying?
You could buy this card for 12 to 18. What the cost of dice. So you can be off by 3, basically, to this number.
If you did that.
You would get a bonus by whatever the difference is.
Okay.
Exactly the difference, or at least the difference?
Exactly the difference.
Okay.
And if you can't afford to buy a card, say this leaf costs 3, and I only have a dice that has a value of 1, I can't actually spend that dice personally to buy that leaf because my gather score is a 1. So even if I change the value of this leaf, I can only bring it down to a 2. So I'm not able to buy it unless I have a dice that is between values of 2 and 4. So when you pay for something, you want to get as close to the number as possible, but you have a little bit of variation, and that variation gives you points if you can pay at an off price.
Okay.
When you're playing this game, if it's your turn, you can always re-roll any of the dice that you have, and that's called gambling. When you re-roll the dice, you either call higher or lower. And if your dice roll higher, you get to keep them. And if they roll lower, you get to keep them if that's what you called. If you call the incorrect thing, you have to give them to the person to your left. And they immediately count as points for that person. So if I, as Lucky, really wanted an acorn that was a 6 or something higher, I would say higher, I'd roll this die. And if it was higher, I would get to keep it. But since I didn't, I would give it to Matthew. And he would get to store it as points.
For the face value or for the number of dice?
For the face value. They're all equal to the pips. So every time you collect a dice from the game, you will be putting it into something called your stash, which is basically this space above your player board. Whenever you are spending them to buy cards, that is the pool from which you will take the dice. Whenever you build a burrow, you will move the dice, however many you want, to below your player card, and that will be representative of you storing them for the winter or for the season. So that is where they will become points at the end of the round. The dice have no value to you above during the round. They are only worth points if they're at the bottom at the end of the round. And they are worth however many pips they are showing. If you've collected a dice that is your color, so in this case, the goose likes yellow dice the most, the dandelions, those dice are an additional 3 points. So that's kind of how the buying and storing system works. There are, put these back. There are a couple other things that you can do on your turn as you're playing. As you are moving across the board, you'll see that when you eventually run out of cards from the tableau, because there's only 5 of each type, it is possible that someone else will have the card that you want to take. If you migrate over to their burrow or onto a space that they're on, you can buy that card from them for whatever it costs in dice. So if Evan, you had this mud, I could spend my dice of a 1 and I could buy it from you.
Even
You
though
would
it's not the
immediately.
same color.
The colors are indicative of the discount that I can get on that die.
Oh.
So the yellow dice are just important to me to get extra points. I could use any color dice to buy anything. It's just the tolerance range I get is indicated by the costing color. So I'm always going to buy a resource with my ±1 modifier because they're all blue. It doesn't matter which dice I use.
Can he buy that even if Evan doesn't want to sell it?
If Evan doesn't want to sell it to me, he can just say, I don't want to sell it to you. And that's fine. But I'm going to get a piece of dirt on, and I'm going to put it on one of his burrows. And that's going to do 2 things. It's going to let me buy from him no matter where I am in the future. I don't have to be visiting him. And at the end of the game, it's -5 points against him. If he wants to get rid of that dirt throughout the game, he could go to wherever the dirt is, and he can pay me 5, the equivalent of 5 from a dice to get rid of it. So it's either points for me during the game, or it's negative points to him at the end of the game. So you can always say no to someone that wants to buy something from you. They're just going to get a little bit of dirt on you. There are a couple of spaces on the map that are unique, that are not just picking up a resource from the tavern. There are any of these red spaces. These are like what we would call event spaces, and you get to do a different thing on each one. There are 7 different types. So I'll just go through them briefly, and then if one looks appetizing to you, we can go into it more when your character's moving on to it. In the tennis center up here, if you land on it, you get to take one of the cards from the top of the racket deck, and you get to add it to your player board. So I'll put these kind of closer to the tennis center. If you go to the conservatory garden, you can take this first player token, and that lets you go first on the next round. Otherwise, it's going to stay with the person that had it originally. If you go to the zoo, that's where you will pick up animals. You'll take the top card of the zoo deck. And all of the animals, like I said earlier, are like one-time use abilities. So Harry here, if you use that card, you basically get to take 2 dice from the bag. So it's a bonus 2 dice. They're like one-time use. And then lastly, the cards for the Met down here, you'll be stealing art, and you'll also take the top card of the deck. There's a couple other spaces. There is the Central Park Casino. If you visit the casino, you may roll any of the dice that you have in your stash, and if they end up matching your charm value, then you get to store them immediately as if you had used a burrow. If they're not the value of your charm, then you have to put them back in the bag. That is one way you can store points without building them.
Burrows give me victory points at the end. Burrows prevent other players from building in the same location. And you just mentioned something else that burrows do. They allow me to convert from the top of my board to the bottom.
Yes, right. Yep.
So I have to be in a burrow to move them from the top to the bottom. Is that right?
You have to be building the burrow or upgrading it to a den in order to move the dice. Otherwise, the dice cannot be moved. Now, Evan, as the squirrel, he has a special ability that says any acorns he pick up, he can just move them from top to bottom.
Sucker.
That's his special ability. And yours is that you can move between water as if it was connected. So you have a bit of fast traveling going on. And I'm allowed to spend these cards as if they were dice that had a value of 4. I bring up these abilities because not only can you use your own, but you can use others if you bribe them to do so. So if I wanted to use the waterways, I could offer you like a dice or a resource that you wanted, and then you would let me use your ability for the turn.
And if I don't, you get dirt on me?
That's that one, yes, but you don't. It's usually in both of our favors to do that. If someone's making you a really bad deal, they will get dirt on you, but you don't have to say yes. The last place that you can go is the 22nd precinct station where this dog is. The dog is called the Bark Ranger, and he is going to keep us in check from running away with the game or from committing too many crimes. When you place your dice, when you place your person on that space to activate it, you will basically pay any amount of dice, and then you'll get to move the dog that many spaces. When the dog comes into contact with a player, they will have to bribe him, and the amount that you have to bribe him is equal to 3. If you do not bribe him, then you roll a die, and as long as the die value is less than your sneak, you get away with it. If you end up rolling your sneak or higher, you lose 3 points. So you can either bribe him from dice that you've collected in your stash, or you can lose points if you are not able to successfully sneak from him.
You come into contact with the dog by visiting the space initially to trigger him to start?
You can either land on this space, or wherever he is, you can interact with him. So if I ran into him over here, I would have to do the same thing.
Let's say 3 rounds in, I want to move the dog on top of you. I move into the space with the dog. Now I encounter the dog, and now I have to roll, and then I can move him to 3 spaces over to you by paying the dice, or do I not get to encounter him when I initially move into that space?
So he will be like in a random location. He will be moving around, and you will
okay.
be moving. If you want to force him to move, you can land here.
He doesn't start in that space. Okay.
He does start in that space also.
Okay. But then he moves
the d-
around. Okay.
Yeah, so the dog will move naturally as we progress through the game. Whenever you are cheating, and I'm going to call it cheating, when you're paying the incorrect price, you will get to move the dog that many spaces. So if I buy a card that's worth 5 for 3, I can move the dog 2 spaces.
In addition to getting the extra bonus
In addition
victory point.
to the bonus points. If you happen to be in the lead when you're cheating, the dog has to move towards you. Otherwise, you can move it wherever you want. I think I've explained all the rules. Obviously, we're going to track our score around the outside, up and down, east and west street. The game lasts for 3 rounds, and each round ends on the turn where the player picks up the last piece of food from the park, or the last resource in the tableau out of the 25 of them has been picked up.
Where's the park?
The park is this whole map.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So whenever someone picks up the last piece of dice, that's the end of that round. You don't necessarily know when that's going to be because you're not in control of it. Kind of everyone's in control of it at the same time. So you're going to be playing this game of, do I keep my dice at the top so I can buy things, or do I stash them so that they're worth more points at the end of the round? Because if the round ends and they're stuck at the top, you don't get any points for them.
What ends a round?
When the last
Oh,
person
that-
picks up the last die from
that ends
the
a
park.
round. Okay.
That
Yeah,
ends a
or
round.
25 cards in the market are gone.
Yes.
And what ends the game?
The
3
game
rounds.
ends after 3 rounds.
3 rounds. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Should we start?
So I think that's the teach, yeah. So
One
you
last
guys can,
question. What's
yeah, go ahead.
what's typical end game scoring points? Is 100
I think
common?
that
Is 50
I
common?
think you want to be between 100 and 125
Okay.
would be like a normal score. Yep. I think that
There's a snap point.
that's
It
like,
won't let you move that one.
yeah, I see that. I'm gonna forcibly move it down. There. Yeah, so you want to get around 100, 125. But I've seen much higher scores. Yeah, I think that's everything. You guys keep your characters, or you can change them. Doesn't really matter to me.
Can you tell me what it means to move through the water?
Sure. So like you could go from the Croton Reservoir all the way to Harlem Mere as if they were touching each other.
This is like a portal or a warp
Yeah,
point.
you can fast travel. Yep. And we can do that, but it takes us a little longer. Once you have multiple burrows, you can step between them as if they were touching each other because they're connected underground. But for you, you can just always move through water. So
Do I choose the starting place of my maple?
yeah, so the way this would normally work is whoever chooses their character first chooses their location last.
Oh, that was
If
me.
you guys want me to take the first turn in the game, I kind of you could say I chose the goose last, so I could put my guy down first.
Perfect.
Does that work? Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
So where is my goose? There he is. So I'm going to take Lucky, and I'm going to put him. I'm going to put him in the reservoir with a burrow, and then I get to take the dice that is in that space. So I start off with a 3.
Oh,
And
so
then you guys will
we're
do
gonna
the same
put our
thing.
burrow down.
Yeah, you'll put 1 burrow down to start.
So it's my
More
turn.
like Catan.
Yeah, we're gonna go. We'll go clockwise.
So that means Matthew's next.
Yes.
Unless we're at the top of the clock instead of bottom of the clock.
We'll do this. We'll do 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll take that egg.
And the burrow has to go where I place the meeple, right?
Yep.
And I
Okay.
forget what the burrow does for you.
7 points, and it's a warp point in the future. And
A warp point?
yeah, if I have 2 burrows, I can move between them.
Warp point. Got it. Like warp point? What does that mean?
And when you build one, you can store your dice into points.
I'll hang out over here. So I take this.
Yep.
And I put that down.
Great. So then we would start. And so my character has a speed of 4, so I'm going to move and try to pick up 4 dice, because ideally that's like the best case scenario for me. And I want to focus on ideally ones that are yellow, because those are my color,
Oh,
if
yeah.
I can get to them. So I'm
I
here.
should
You
start
can-
somewhere else, huh?
You can move if you want to pick up something else, but a 6 is a good die.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
just, if you want an acorn, you get to store it immediately.
Nah, that's fine.
So I'll move here, pick this up. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So us running into each other doesn't do much.
If I wanted to, I could steal any dice that you had in your stash that match my sneak value.
And what's my stash?
Anything at the top.
Okay.
So I could have stolen Matthew's 2 if I had run into him.
Well, you did run into
'Cause-
me, so you could have stolen my 6.
You've got a 6, it's too high.
Whatever your sneak value is, that's the value of the dice you can take. So Evan, you can take any dice that are a 5 in our stash,
Oh, I see.
and Matthew can take any 4s.
Oh, and not above or below, just exactly that number.
Just that number. Yeah.
Okay.
So I landed here. I take the first player token. I'm going to buy a couple things from Up here, I'm going to buy a twig. The twigs cost 4. I'm going to buy 1 twig, and I'm going to use an egg with a value of 5, which means I was off by a difference of 1, so I get to move 1 point. And that would put me, we're actually all going to be at 0. So that puts me at 1. And then I can move the dog 1 space. So I'm going to move him this way.
Are you compelled
Or-
yet to move it toward a particular person or not yet?
You are in
Now
the
I would,
midst, so
now
you
I,
have to
now
move
I have to
people.
move him towards myself. Now
Okay.
that I'm winning. I'm also going to buy this, let's say I want this piece of mud. It costs 1, and I need a dice of 2 to do that because my gather is a. So I'm just going to re-roll these 2 and call lower on both of them and hope that they give me a lower value.
And if they're higher, I get them.
And if they're higher, then you get them. So you're going to take this 4. And the
Oh,
1 I
under
can
my
use.
bottom area.
Yeah, you get it immediately.
What,
And
the
now I
stash
can
is
use
above,
the
what was it called? Below the board, sorry?
storage is below.
Store, okay.
Yep. So I'm gonna buy this piece of mud. And then I think I'm gonna hold on to this 3. I'm not gonna use it yet. And then I would pass my turn to the next person.
Okay, so I think I'm next. I've got a move of 3. That's my run value. So I can gather 3 things this turn. So I'm gonna move my guy up here and grab the green 3. Now, because it's green, I have the chance of moving it straight down to storage. Is that right?
That is an ability that Evan has. If you would like to
Okay.
use it, you'd have to bribe him for it.
And if I understand this right, so Evan could say yes, which is probably in his best interest, and then I get to do it. But what is his kickback? What does he get to do by saying yes? Anything?
He would get whatever you bribe him with.
Oh, I have to give him a die.
You have to give him something.
Other than dice, is there anything else I can bribe him with? What
Yeah,
else
like I
do
could
I
give
have
him,
at my?
I can give him this piece of mud.
Okay, so but it has to be a card or a die. It can't be like
It can't be a
can't be
promise
an
of something.
intangible like I won't
Right.
attack you or something. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And then I can move my guy down here for move 2. What does that orange thing on the board mean?
So that you've landed on a playground space at the minute. If you pay 3, then you can just put a piece of dirt onto somebody else. It's orange because you're using your charm modifier to pay for it.
Okay, and that's -5 victory points, right?
It would be -5 victory points plus the ability to buy off of us during the game without having to visit us.
Meaning I could move my stash down or just the buy action.
Like you could buy my mud if you had dirt on me. You wouldn't have to visit my burrow to do it.
And it only costs me a do the green die give me any bonus because I'm the green player, or only really Evan capitalizes on that?
No, you would get +3 points for each green dice that you manage to store.
Oh, okay.
That's down here.
Okay. So the 2, I can't pay with the egg to do that mud ability, right?
You can because you have a charm of 2, so you can pay anywhere between 1 and 5.
Okay, so I'll do that. So the 2 goes up to the bank, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then where do I get the dirt? Is it from my stash or from someone else?
Yeah, you'll take one of yours from there and put it onto someone's burrow.
Onto someone's burrow. So where's Evan's burrow? He won the last game, so I feel justified. Sorry, Evan. There you go. There's a little dirt on your burrow.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do some tidying later.
Yeah.
Okay, and
So
then I've got a third
in order for
action to
Evan to
move,
get
right?
rid of that, he will have to land in his he has to end up in his space, and then he has to pay you the 5 to get rid of it.
Pay you
Okay,
5
and
Dice value.
a die value
Dice
of 5.
a die of
Okay.
5.
Is that one you can wiggle on too, like under or overpay, or that one has to be exact?
No, you can wiggle with it also, and it's based on your charm.
Okay.
So the better you are
Um,
at charming, the easier it is to pay for dirt. to get rid of
Okay,
free.
so I'll do my third and final movement, which is to grab the 4. And then I have the chance now to buy from the market.
Yeah, you get a stick for free because you landed on the ball, which has a little stick symbol on it. And then
Ah.
you can buy whatever you want.
Okay, so let me grab a stick. And the stick goes down to my storage, or does it go to the stash? Or does it matter?
It's kind of just like it's not a space. It's its own thing.
Couldn't I just stick it in my hand? But if a player's
Yeah,
gonna steal it, I guess they have
you would
to
just stick it
see
in
it.
your hand, but ideally we would have open hands.
Right, okay.
TK agrees with you. He says, "Don't let
What's
Evan
that?
win."
Oh.
That's really the only strategy we need.
Yeah, Evan's pretty good, so yeah, I'll take
We'll see.
every advantage I can against him. Let's see. Okay, and then I like the fact, here's what I'm thinking. I like the fact that they're green. They each give me bonus 3 points. That's bonus 9 points. And if an end score is 150, that's actually pretty, that's 1/15 of a final score I've got in front of me right now. So if I don't spend them, I need to build a burrow to move them down. Isn't that right? Or next turn I can use Evan's ability to move him down. And now because I have dirt on him, he can't say no. Is that right? Or am I thinking wrong?
Yes. So your logic would be, all right, I can either build a burrow and store the dice. I can upgrade a burrow I already have and store the dice. I could bribe Evan and say, hey, I want to use your ability to store my favorite type of dice. Will you accept this dandelion
Twig.
or this twig? And if he says yes, then you can store your dice. And if he says no, then you'll put another piece of dirt on him. And
Okay,
then you
and
can't ask him again until your next turn.
sure. And are they vulnerable in my stash? Are they vulnerable in my storage?
They can be stolen from you if you keep them in your stash. So, for example, I have a 2 in my modifier, so I could steal them if they were a 2, and Evan has a 5, so he can steal your 5 if he comes
Okay.
near you.
Okay, Evan, I will give you this stick if you let me use your ability to move my 3 dice into my storage. Let's see.
How many turns are we going to get this round, do you think?
3.
Okay.
Okay. Pleasure doing business with you.
Didn't
I'll
feel
move
like
these down into my
business.
storage, and that's my turn, right? Am I missing anything?
That would be it, because you don't have really any more dice to spend.
Exactly. Okay. Turn over.
Okay.
You're up, Evan. You got a free twig out of it.
Oh, it doesn't feel that way. Let's see, I move 3. 1, 2.
Oh, those 6s, man.
Yeah. What's this little sucker? Nah. Yeah. Let's go this way.
The acorn you would get to store for free.
But it's just
But if
1
you land
point.
on Mother Goose, you
Well,
get
yes,
to
but you can
steal.
always gamble it to get a higher value. And
Tell
there's
me
a
about
pretty
Which
good
is
chance.
Tell me about that again.
You call higher or lower, and if you're right, you get to keep it, and if you're wrong, I take it from you.
I say higher.
Okay. Yeah, you're pretty good
don't
odds
roll
of
a
it being
1.
higher.
There we
Great.
go.
So now it's a 6.
Oh, look at you.
I put it down there.
Okay. And you also landed on the south woods, so you get to take 2 leaves.
Oh, it's where you stop.
It's where you stop. Yeah.
Okay, so I take 2 leaves.
And now you can buy whatever you want with the rest.
I will buy whatever. Whoa, come on, Twig. What are you doing?
Why is it 2 leaves, not just 1 leaf? Oh, I see the 2
There's
symbol
2
now.
leaves.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
There's
will
one of
I
each
had
of
buy
those on the
whatever I
board.
want.
I had to scroll over to see it.
So, Gather is buying these things.
Yes.
These suckers tell you. What are the bottle caps?
The bottle caps are worth victory points at the end of the game, and their scoring is similar to the way that the scoring works in Ticket to Ride. So
Go
the
on.
more that you have of them, the better they get. It's not exactly like Ticket to Ride, but Every bottle cap is worth 1. Every set of 3 of a kind is worth 5. Every set of 3 different is worth 5.
Okay.
So there's blue, red, there's yellow, there's blue, red, and green bottle caps. So
Yeah.
you want to collect sets that are the same or different.
Gotcha. So I've got 18 total value in my pool here.
You do.
So I could buy this catastrophe, but I wouldn't get bonus points. But I could buy the approaching storm. And
you can buy the catastrophe if you want for 2 dice. That would, you'd be paying 12 for something that costs 15, and your run modifier is a 3, so you basically get to cheat by 3.
Oh, I thought it was the gather for buying.
It's the color of the thing you're buying.
Okay, I will buy that catastrophe. For 15, which gives me 3 points.
The bottle caps are at the end. But you cheated, so you get 3 points. Yep.
Yeah.
And you can also move the dog 3 spaces.
Obligatorily now towards himself, right?
Yes, because you're now in the lead.
Where is that dog?
The dog is right here.
Okay.
It's white.
1, 2, 3.
So I would not incentivize you to cheat again this round if you can avoid it. Otherwise, you may lose points if he catches up to you.
Okay. And then, let's see. I'm gonna charm.
You could afford this one.
I'm gonna charm Bruno Barzini.
Cool. So
that gets me
his
3
ability
points.
that gets you 3 points.
1, 2, 3, and the dog moves toward me 3 times. Does he keep going?
Yeah, no, he's there now, so he stops.
He doesn't keep going. Okay.
No, so now what happens with the dog is you can either bribe him, something that costs 3, or you can roll a die and try to hope that you get less than a 5. If you get less than a 5, nothing happens to you. If you get a 5 or a 6, you lose 3 points.
I will roll a die.
Okay. Good. So you're good.
Okay. And then what does Barzini give me?
You can, if you land in a spot that has that background, so it's basically one of the hill spaces that give you bark, you get to take a die out of the bag.
They give you bark. What's the paw print for?
This one, the paw print is like
that's
the
where you
move
land.
symbol. Yeah, so it's just like
it's not moving through. That's where I land. If I land there, I get an extra die.
Yeah,
from the bag. Okay,
that would be
And when you
can use that once per round.
When you take a die from a bag, you roll it.
Well, it would be random when you take it, but if you want to roll it, you could roll it. Does that make sense?
No.
You would blindly reach into the bag and take it, so it would be whatever value it was when it came out, or
what
you can
mean?
roll it.
It's just in your hand when it comes out.
Yeah, like you can pick into the bag and pick out the dice and just put it down, and it could be whatever value it was because you pick it out and it would be random.
I'm going to call that rolling. Okay, good.
Yeah, or you could pick it up and roll it.
In some way, it goes from your hand onto the table in a random fashion.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Did I do all my things?
Yes.
Cool. Done.
I am the goose. I'm over here.
Would Evan's cards technically be in his stash?
Evan's cards are technically like you can't take those.
Oh, okay.
You can like buy them off of him, but you can't steal them.
Covet not thy neighbor's leaf. Okay.
So Matthew, I'd like to use the water this turn. I'm gonna go one
Wait,
space to here, and then I'd like to use your ability in order to sneak between the waterways. And I
which
will give you
waterway
this.
are you?
I will all of them. I will give you this cricket.
I mean, it's green. It's looking pretty good. I'll take it.
Okay, great. Here, you can do what you want with it. You can put it in your stash or your storage.
I'll put it in my storage.
Oh,
Right.
he gets to choose. Okay.
Yeah, I just let him.
If the
I'm
designer says
gonna.
I get to choose, I get to
Okay.
choose.
I moved one space. I'm also gonna move 2 spaces to up here, and collect this one. And then I'm
How did
gonna
I get
move up here.
the dandelion in my storage? I don't remember.
I rolled it and failed.
Ah,
Ah, that's right.
I landed on a piece of bark, so I'm going to get a piece of bark for free. And then I'm going to buy a leaf for 3. And I'm going to overpay. So I'm going to get 1 point. And then I need a grass. That's the last thing I need. So
you
I'm
gotta
going to
move it. You
underpay.
gotta move that dog.
Oh, yeah, where is he? He's over
He's
here.
over by
I need.
me.
I want him to come this way. I will buy a grass for this acorn. So I'm off by 1. Get another point. Move the dog. And now that I have one of these 4 things, I can spend all of them and I can build a burrow.
Didn't that dog have to move back towards me?
I get to move it wherever I want. You have to move it towards yourself because you're in the lead.
I see. If you're in the lead, you have to move it towards yourself. Otherwise, you move
Yes,
it wherever you want. Got
right.
it.
So I'll put a burrow down here, which is, where am I? I'm here. And I will take this dandelion and I will put it into storage.
Bam,
And then I
boom.
pass.
Okay, back to me.
Yep.
Move my Tony over to this green, or pink rather. 2. Central Park has been raided. What's that say?
Casino.
So, I can't zoom in on the playing board. I can
Oh,
zoom in on everything else. It's fine.
You can if you hit Z.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm. Oink.
There we go. Okay, and then landing here is 2, right?
yep.
And then I guess landing here is 3, and then I get double bush and I get my 4.
Great. Pretty good.
I mean, I would have gotten an extra resource had I not let you do the waterway, but that's how the cookie crumbles. You grabbed it. Oh, these want to snap to the side. There they go. Okay. 2 grass don't get me a lot right now for a burrow. 2 dice. So I can buy stuff from the market, and then the difference value I'm looking for is my gather of 2, right?
Yes, because I'm
So
trying to buy something that's blue.
so a 2 die plus a 2 gather, it means I'm optimally looking for 4s in the market if I do my math right, or 2s.
Or 0.
Right. 4s. 4s or 0s.
4s or 0s.
Or 2s
So
because you
that
have a 4.
yeah, that twig, I'll buy the twig, and I spend the 2, and that gets me some victory points, right?
Yep, that gets you 2 points. And then you can move the dog twice.
Okay. The dog's where exactly?
He's over there.
Okay, so I can move him down into this space, right?
You can.
Okay, so what happens now?
And that would trigger Evan to either bribe him or roll the dice and try to escape.
The law is coming for you, Evan.
Okay. I will roll a die.
All right, you're safe.
Less than a 5. So it's only a 6 and a 5.
Yeah,
That'd
he has
kill
a
you.
2/3
That
chance
gotcha.
of
What?
being safe.
Yep. Okay, and then
I'm the one you want to do that to. So I am not sneaky.
oh, I got it. Okay. Well, he was already conveniently right over there.
Sorry.
So I only have the 4 left. I can't move the 4 down unless I bribe Evan for his ability. I could leave it up there. I'm looking at the market. I think I'll just keep it for now and see what happens. I guess that's my turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joey. 1. Let me use your ability, Matthew. I will give you a leaf.
Yes, I would love a leaf. I was just looking at my board going, how am I going to get a leaf?
2.
You read my mind.
3.
Nice.
Nice.
What does the zoo do?
If you land on the zoo, you get to take the top card from the zoo
Without paying for it.
without paying.
You just get the
It's random
ability.
though.
Oh, that's cool. It's probably pretty good.
You know, there's definitely a meta strategy here of just keep moving on the zoo every turn,
I think I'm gonna move to the zoo instead.
right? You move past, you
The
move
only
forward, and then you
stipulation
land.
is that you cannot like end your turn where you started your turn.
Yeah.
Oh, then he has to go and say that.
You can do it every other turn if you wanted.
Yep.
But when other people are picking up double sticks for free, it's real tempting. That lets you change any value, any dice value. You can just change it to what you want.
Okay.
For the rest of the game or one-time use?
Each of the animals, everything with a zoo is once per round. So Evan's going to want to do that before the round ends.
Oh, and this guy I need to land. I need to stop on this type of terrain, which I haven't.
To get the dice. Yep.
Because it's where you stop, not where you walk through. I see. Okay. Well, that's okay. Old Andy and Dano's pretty good. So I need some mud, which is a 1. And I need... okay. I need grass, which is a 2. And gathering is 2 away.
Right.
Right? So I'm going to turn... Let's see. Mud. Can I build a den here?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to build the... Shoot, why can I not do math? Gather is what I'm looking at, right? The blue?
The blue.
And I can do 2 away. I'm just going to turn this die. Does it roll over the top? Is a 5 2 away from 1?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't roll over the top. Okay. In that case, I'll turn this die to a 3, and then buy the mud.
Okay. Yeah.
And that,
you're using your anteater.
Yeah. And that gets me 2 points. And I move the dog towards me. Woof woof. And then I store this sucker. Donezo.
Okay. I am here. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna get grass. And then Matthew, since I'm on your burrow, I can buy things from you. So I would like to buy your twig.
I need my twig.
This is where you can say yes or no.
I'll say grass.
No, that wasn't. No,
I
no.
give you a sheep for 2 wheat.
I'll take a dirt. I'll keep my twig.
Oh, okay. All right, I will put this here then. And I will stop asking you. And then I will buy a twig from the market. And I got one. And I moves the dog closer. And this, yeah, what to do with this 5? What should I do with this cricket, Matthew? Should I just put it back in the bag? I think I should just.
I mean, I would have said yes if you'd given me your green cricket.
Uh-huh.
You could have that twig for that cricket.
Well, you already said I can't buy from you this turn, so that's how it is.
Well, you didn't offer the green cricket.
No, I know I didn't. I'm gonna put it back in the bag. I'm gonna get this piece of bark, and then I pass.
Okay, to take my water ability, do I need to be in water or I just warp to water?
It's water. It's water from water.
So I'm not exactly near anything right now, so I'm not gonna get a lot because I got no resources near me. Guess I can get that brown 5. What's the resource that I get for landing on the
A leaf.
nature sanctuary? Okay, a leaf. So I can get a leaf and a 5. What else are my options? I can get a leaf and a 5 pink. What's this one?
The fountain is if you pay a 6, then you gain points equal to your speed, and you may swap with another player.
Swap what?
Speed.
Your
My speed is a
meeple.
3, right? My is speed the equivalent
Yeah,
of run?
yeah. You're sorry. Your run. Yeah. So
Okay.
if you landed there and paid dice, you could
But
get.
I could pay a 4 to become a 6 and get the difference value as well, right?
You can cheat and get the points from the thing and swap us around. Yep, you can do all of those things.
And what's the X here?
The X is you can pay any amount of, like, you pay a die that, like, let's say you wanted to pay your cricket, that's a 4. You can take everybody's 4s if they're in their stash.
Okay. Let me try that. So moving here is a 1. And then once I hit the brown road, I can pop up here as a 2 and grab the 5. And then I can land. Let's see, is there any other resources nearby? Oh, this brown road gets me up here to a 1. There's my 3 movement. And
you get the
I
bark.
am after, I get a bark, yes. I would have thought the dog would be after that. And then the mud is a 1. So 1 plus a 3 gets me the optimal thing, right? But I can
Right.
pay with a 1.
Yeah, you can pay with
Get
1.
it. I can pay with a 1 to get it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it in the market because I'm also going to pay a twig and a leaf, and my client's just being a little on the slow side. There we go. There's 1 and there's 2. Okay, so I've paid 4 resources to get my burrow. So I can grab another burrow token. I have to put it where I am currently, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I get it on this spot here. And now because I built, I can move my dice down. So I can move that 4 and that 5 down.
Right. Yep.
Okay, that's me.
Okay. Let's see. So I need a bark to make a burrow. So I can land on bark. How do I get to up here? How do I get to this one?
From here,
Yeah.
it's 1, 2, 3.
4,
4.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Is this a bark here?
That's a bark.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Okay. And I have to stop there.
If you want it for free, you have to stop there.
What if I want to pay for it?
Then you can be anywhere. You get it for free if you land on that space. Otherwise, you're buying it from the market.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I was like, how do I get this? Okay, got it. Okay.
If you do come here, you can buy it off of me, and I can't say no. Or you get dirt on me.
That's true, but I don't really have anything to offer. So I will go 1, 2, and I'm gonna get that bark, right?
Right.
Because I'm already there. I landed on that type of terrain, so I'm gonna get that. And then, so I can build a den or no, because you're already there.
I'm already here, so you can't. Well,
Okay.
to build a burrow, you would still need grass.
Oh, do I not have grass?
You do not have grass.
What do I have extra? What's going on?
There's a 5th resource not involved in the recipe.
Oh, the bark is not part of the burrow.
The bark is the upgrading one.
It's the equivalent of stone in Catan.
So I wanted grass.
Yeah, you can just buy grass though, if you want.
Uh,
Guess that looks like what you wanted to do. You just also can't build it here if I'm here. So you'll have to wait a turn.
What resource do I get over here?
That is where you can get dirt on people. You
And
buy dirt.
grass costs outright.
2.
I will just turn this to a 1.
So when I said once per round, Evan, what I
Uh-huh.
meant was once per each of the 3 rounds of the game.
Oh, not a round of players taking turns.
Yeah, I meant.
So I've already used this. And
Yeah.
I've already used this. Got it. Okay. I will give you this 5 egg for your grass.
Who are you offering?
Lucky goose.
You try
don't
to.
know.
Yeah, so you can buy it from me, but you still have to adhere to the same restrictions on the price.
I can buy it from you. I cannot.
Yeah, you can buy it from me.
I think I'm super confused on
Okay.
making an offer. Because I thought I could ask for anything and hand you anything.
To use my ability.
To use your ability. Okay.
If you want to buy things from me, though, they are just what they cost.
Okay.
You can see the confusion, though.
So I can buy from you, or I can buy. And what do you get if I buy from you?
I'm going to take this 5 and put it into storage.
I see. Okay. How about you also give me your ability to spend my resources if it was a 4?
What's the offer?
You let me use your skill, and then I buy your grass.
I think that's fine.
Cool.
I'm still getting the dice out of this.
Yeah. And I get 2 points. And I move the dog. Where's the dog? Over here. Has to be towards me. 1, 2. Okay. Done.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Did we skip you, Matthew? Did you go?
No,
No,
I
you
went.
went.
And Evan went.
We're
Now
going
you're up.
clockwise if we are at the lower positions on the clock.
Here we go.
So you're next.
1, 2. 3 and 4. Get a piece of bark. And then offer, Matt, I would like to buy your bark for face value. -1. Actually, it's -1. You're losing money off this.
The offer is that 4 die for my 5 bark.
Yep, so I'm gonna get 1 point for cheating, and you're gonna get 4 points off this.
I'm gonna get 4 points off of it, but I give you 6 equivalently, right?
Yep.
And if I say no, I get -5 and you get nothing. Those are my options?
That's right. Yep.
Sure. Now, if you've used up all your dirt tokens, then you have no leverage to dirt
You're right.
again, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's my turn.
All right, so it's back to me.
I'm just hoarding dirt.
I'll go here and pick up the pink 4. And then I'll go here and pick up the pink 4. Deja vu. There we go. Come on, DTS. And I'll go here to pick up the 5, and I get a resource that matches the space, a twig. It's like
Plastic.
thick, twig, same thing. Okay, for me at least. And let's see. I have a twig and a grass, so the pile I'm noticing is run out, which means no more of that resource. Is that right? It's limited?
At the start of the next round, we're gonna take this discard pile and like shuffle it
Of
back
course.
in and deal
But
them out.
for the
But
rest of
until
this
then,
round,
no, we have the
pressure.
twigs.
Okay. Okay, so I would like a leaf and a mud. The mud is a 1 and the leaf is a 3. Let's see. So my gather is a 2. So 3 plus or minus 2 would be a 5. The yellow could get the leaf, and the mud plus or minus would be a. I can overpay, is that right? Or
You
I
can
forget how
overpay.
that works. Okay. So I can spend these 2, get my missing mud and leaf. I get only 1 of those as bonus, and the other one I just overpaid. Is that right?
You can buy the leaf with the 5
Mm-hmm.
and get 2 points. But to
Mm-hmm.
buy the mud, you'd have to have a 3.
So the 4 you can't overpay because my gather is not close enough.
Sorry,
to
I
get me
meant
to
yeah,
get
I must. You can overpay within your boundary, but not over that limit.
right,
So you'd have
okay.
to re-roll them and hope to get lower.
And hope to get lower. If not, I donate them to Evan, which he would appreciate. Although, if I, oh, yeah, he's especially like that because if I hope to get lower and it's higher, then he's getting like a 5 or a 6 or a 4. So it's a 50% chance I give it to Evan as a really high value. It's quite the gamble. Doesn't sound worth it. But if I get it, then I can build a burrow this turn. Which sounds nice. If I don't build the burrow this turn, could keep the dice up there, only spend the 5. I definitely want to spend the 5. And I definitely want to get the leaf, right? Was that the one? Yeah.
And 2 points. I will move you the 2 points.
Yes, thank you.
And now
just
you can
trying to
move
get
the
the leaf
dog
down.
2 spaces.
Okay, where is Mr.
He's here.
I guess. So, oh, one.
Is that
Oh,
where
I
that
found
goes?
somebody. I think. Did I do it right?
Are those
I
connected?
did.
Yeah, that
I
was
saw a
one. That
brown
was one
path.
space. Yep.
Oh, it is
Okay.
connected. Okay.
Now, once I hit a
That
player,
was-
he stops moving, or does he get to go one more after resolving?
No, he's stuck there, but Evan has to roll now.
Okay.
I roll.
Yep.
Less than 5.
Not that one. This one.
As if it matters.
Oh, it matters.
All right, he's safe.
Okay. And can I choose to roll 1 4, see if I got it, and then choose to roll the second 4? Or do I have to roll both at the same time? If I
can do one
want
at a
2
time.
goes in. I can do one at a time. Okay. I'll try the first 4. Here's a donation to Evan. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I
you
got a
wanted
1.
that. You wanted low.
I know. Okay, so with the 1, I can get the mud because the mud is a 1. It's exact, so I don't get any bonus. Okay, so then I can spend these 3 resources and get my burrow, so the gamble paid off. And thank you. Did you build my burrow yet? Probably not. I got it. Oops.
Very good.
And where am I right now? On which space?
You're on the Silent Grove. So the bottom one.
Right.
Here's good.
Okay, so I'm gonna just put it on the name. It was getting me a little more confused where it was. It's the gray down below, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And when I do that, I have the option of moving dice down. Don't think I'll build any more burrows this round, so I'm gonna move it down. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. I'm gonna go 1. Right? Am I
Yeah, that's
doing
1.
that correctly? 2. And then what's the castle do?
The castle is whatever dice value you pay, you can take those dice from other people's stashes.
And a stash is up top.
Up top, right? It's not good right now.
Okay.
If you paid a 3, you'd get to take all of our 3s.
I see.
Right.
So 1, 2. Whoa, 3. And
And you get free grass.
get free grass. Suckers. Whoa. And
You
now
must be able to do a burrow by now. Look at all those cards.
I have a 3 and a 3. Do I have a card limit?
No.
Does he get to carry
Mud is
cards into the next
1.
round?
You do.
Okay. So
I'm
that's
gonna
the one. That and the orange cards, the zoo cards and the art cards, those can all carry over.
I'm gonna buy some mud. Oh wait, what do we got over here? Zoning us 13. That's 12. What are these? 10. 10. So I could do that, right? Because I have a sneak of 5. And I have 6 in dice.
Yes, you can do that. So you
And
get 4 points, and then this guy, you can use him once per round to make your gather up like plus or minus 2 more. So you could buy things for 4 off for the round to use
okay.
it.
Did you move me up for my
Yeah, so I'll
bonus
do
of
that.
that one die I spent last round? I got like
I
2 or
did.
3 points. Okay.
Yep.
Bam.
Nice.
So that's 4 points. 2, 4. That dog
It's here.
continues to follow me. 1, 2, 3. I will roll again. I will roll its egg. Okay. Dunzo.
Okay. Here there are 2. There's 3 dice left. I think I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm gonna re-roll both of these and say higher. Great.
There you go.
Both 6s.
Whoa.
I'm gonna
It
get
was
the
indeed.
top card off of the art gallery, which is a cow skull. And let's see, got 2 6s, and there's, I cannot use them to buy anything actually, except for this. I will buy the approaching storm. So it costs me 13, and I have a difference of 1. So I now get 1 point. Cool. All right, so it is Matthew's turn. There are 2 dice left. You do not have to get them.
That's what I was gonna ask. So we could stall the game out farming resources until we all had everything the game has left to offer and then trigger the
That
end
would
of the
be-
round, right?
Well, yeah, the round ends at leaf or mud or the last 2. The last 3 dice get picked up.
Okay, how many? And there's only one of each.
There's only 1
So
of
if I
each.
go to the double leaf over here, I can't get 2 leaves.
You can only get 1.
So I'll start by going for the die here. And I guess the only question is, do I want a leaf or a mud? I'll go 1, 2. That finishes my movement. I'll land on a 1 leaf. I get the last leaf. I don't know why I put the die over there. The mud costs a 1, so a 2 with a difference of 2 is not going to get me a mud. That's a 0. Does 0 wrath?
No,
Is that a 6?
no, you can buy it. It's like your range
Oh.
is between 0 and.
Oh, that's right. All right,
Yeah.
let me buy it. Trigger the end. There goes my die.
So you overpaid by 1, so you get a point, right?
Yep, you get 1 point, and you
Oh,
get
that's
to move
right.
the dog
And
1
you move
space.
the dog.
Which probably won't matter unless he can touch someone. Where is he? Park
He's already
Ranger.
on it. And,
He's already on it, so it doesn't trigger?
no, he's already there, so it would trigger it when he
Okay.
runs into the next time.
Okay, so he has to move. This is the end of the round, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
Okay, there it goes.
So the way that the scoring works is you look at how many dice are in your storage, and you get that many points. You also get 3 additional points for every dice that's your favorite color. So green, or green, brown, and yellow. And you
Do we
can just
also
move
throw
your
out burrows or not yet?
token. No, those are at the end.
Okay.
And you can move your little guy around that much. So I only get plus 12 here.
So I get 51 points if I count it right.
Yeah.
So you're at 56th, 57th Street.
Yeah, can you move me, please?
Yes.
Seems
Thank you.
pretty good.
That's what I was hoping. We'll see. I don't have those nice orange cards, and I don't have those nice set collecting, so we'll see if it pays off.
think those sets are only worth 5 points, so just putting dice down seems pretty good.
They're 5 points each, but they stack, so you can use the 3 reds for 2 different pairings. If you have like, I guess it's how you would count points in cribbage. If you're
Never played.
ever played. Okay, that's not helpful. All right, so that would be 1 round.
Should we put
And
these dice
there are-
back in?
Yes,
Or
all the
mine?
dice should end up back in the bag.
I think you scored them, right?
Yes, they should be
And
30.
you did, Evan, you did count them for the bonus brown color, right?
I did.
So that is 1 round. There are 3 rounds, so there are 2 more. That is how the game works. At the end of the game, you get points for your burrows, your upgraded dens, the bottle caps, and minus points for the dirt.
Does the dirt not reset between rounds?
No, the dirt's staying the whole time.
Oh, okay. So you can only do 4 dirts for the whole game.
Yeah, unless someone buys it and gets rid of it by giving
Right,
you the dice.
And I'm thinking out loud, if they don't buy it, it aids both the other players, because then I'm going down -5. But if I do buy it, then I basically just shift the risk out of one of those, and only one person gains the advantage. I have to pay them. So basically, I take the -5 and I give it to them as a +5.
Right.
And the other player doesn't get hit. Okay.
How did you get dirt on me here? I don't remember.
This
I
playground
landed on
earlier.
a space on the left, which let me just throw it on you.
Okay.
Yeah, the playgrounds. Yep. So do you guys want to continue, or do you think you have enough of like a vibe for it?
What do you think, Matthew?
You guys, I mean, I got a vibe to that. I mean, that's the loop. The only loop that we haven't seen is leveraging burrows for the movement. Otherwise, and
Oh, yeah, you
really
can move
seeing how
between
the bottle
burrows.
caps work. But otherwise, I think we've seen a bit of everything.
Yeah, the biggest thing that you wouldn't see if we stop now would just be the fact that like Evan has a lot of the resources. So we would eventually have to come to him for help.
Oh, what resources come out on the next one?
Well, like you got these 12 cards that are back from here. So we'd have another set of 3, right? Or we'd have our sets of 5 again. Right. But you
can
have
do,
like
yeah, you can
90%
resource
of this
hoard
stuff. Yeah, you can
in this
just
game.
keep
So it's like
claiming everything.
Monopoly with the houses. Once a player owns all the houses, no one else can buy, and then you can prevent people from getting hotels.
Right. So we can't do anything if you have all the resources, Evan.
We still have a little leverage, but it'll get very tight if you don't burrow those.
You can just buy them from me anyway.
Well, we can try to, but you can just say no and we get more dirt on you.
That's not good for me.
No, it's probably easier for you to give them to let us buy them from you.
Yeah,
But
so it doesn't really seem like cornering the
There might be an
market.
interesting strategy where you bleed out the dirt, right? You keep saying no, and then I can only do that 3 more times with the game. That's all both final rounds, and then I can never ask you again.
yeah, you basically get 4 no's. And then at the end, if you're quick enough, you can pay it all off. But yeah, so
I'm here to give you what you need on this, so you let us know what's helpful for you.
I think Evan has probably written 100 things, so I think that'll probably be good. Take it easy on me. You're probably like the 12th person to play it. Let me get my little notepad out.
Okay.
And the main basic questions I have outside of generic feedback are what things seemed too complicated that could become simpler if you have an idea for how to do so.
Yeah.
And what things felt like they were unique or interesting.
Cool.
And then thirdly, what do you think about the theme and the concept versus how unique does that seem to you? So those are like the 3 main questions
What's the name?
outside of all the other stuff.
Cool.
It's called the Critter Crimes, a Central Park Syndicate.
Cool. Matthew, take it away.
I'm gonna mute my mic so you don't hear me typing.
Okay.
I don't think we can. The noise cancellation on these
Yeah, the
Zoom meetings are
AI.
usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't hear this? Great.
No.
Okay. never
Mm,
mind.
That is not a voice canceled.
well, thanks for showing it to us. There were definitely some fun moments where I think I like to do Sasha's got some real good feedback. I wrote it down when I met him at PAX. Where what was it? What did I think
He
was
just
fun?
showed up in the chat too.
Oh, look at that! I summoned him.
Speak of the
Uh,
devil.
yeah, yeah. I wrote it down, Sasha. So what did I think was fun? What were the highlight moments? It felt really good at the beginning to gobble up 2 green dice in the first move of the game, and then the second move of the game, I think I got 2 more green ones. So within the first 2 turns, I had 4 green dice. So that's an extra 12 points because of the green bonus. So that felt good. The beginning turns felt really good because you're gobbling up a lot of dice, and then predictably the last turns felt a lot leaner and quicker. Like oh, I'm not gonna be able to do much. I'm just gonna have to burn a lot of movement trying to position for the 1 last or 2 last dice that are available. So most games I've played are the opposite. You do fewer things to start the game, and then as the game matures, you start to unlock more things, and then you kind of have the mechanics down, and then you do more. So it's just an observation that usually it's the other way around. Usually most games I only have like few dice, and then as the game goes on, I get more and more dice, and then I know how to spend the more I develop. But it's understandably, it's just the way the game progressed here. The one thing I wasn't too fancy about was the amount of resources that are dependent on the die and then the player's position. The difference between a 1 and a 6 is quite significant. I'm wondering if it could be a tighter range or if there could be some use of a 1 die that doesn't count as victory points but gives me some mechanical leverage. So as an example, off the top of my head, the aardvark guy let Evan do a thing and then he had to flip the card over. Maybe the 1 die gives me that leverage as well. So yeah, the 1 die, I have to gamble it to roll it up higher, and it's a pretty likelihood. But maybe the balance, the fact that it's only 1 victory point without the risk, it's got some additional leverage to it. And then suddenly 1s are more interesting for me. But I could just see a player helping a little bit on Evan's side of the board. He was gobbling up a bunch of 6s, but I could just see a player naturally starting near a bunch of 1s and another player starting near a bunch of 6s, and it does feel like a bit of an advantage that they didn't skillfully acquire, that the game just set them up that way. So I just wonder for the points, because it seemed really good to put them down from the beginning. It's like, and then I asked, like, once I get them in storage, like no one can touch them, right? Yep. Okay. And then I get bonuses for green, right? Okay, so then I just optimize where's green, and that's where I put my burrow to grab as many on the first 2 movements, because I could see after about the first 2 rounds, then we would really start to fight over the territory. So I don't know, like you said, the bottle caps score in a couple different ways, but I'm just not sure if they match the power of storing a die at the bottom, especially if it matches your color, because I don't have to worry about sets. I don't have to worry about the actionable items to get the cards and then spend them, and hopefully I get the right set or the right opportunity on the board. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's just down, it's points, it's in the bank, and it felt good. Um, the dirt was another interesting mechanic that I don't know what your target audience is, because the game kind of feels a little bit heavier strategy. Not like a real heavy Euro, but there's just several layers to the onion, and once we got used to it, wasn't so bad, but there's a lot of layers to the onion to get used to the value of the die, the trade-in of the die, the over under spend of the die based on my player's ability. Then there was, cards for set collecting. There was just a lot of little layers. If you're familiar with games in general, you've kind of got some of these systems built under your belt and they're not so bad. The new players, however, like if my 10, almost 11-year-old son were to play this, it'd be a real difficult task for him because he hasn't played as many games. He's a pretty bright kid, but it would take him a game or two to really start to pick up a lot of these things. Otherwise, I mean, as a kid, he's just moving and he likes to pick up dice. Who doesn't like to do that? So, but like to really think through the long-term strategy and how to get the sets and stuff, some of it's just opportunistic. But I noticed when I was playing it, part of it felt like, it wants to be this approachable game. Maybe it has a few too many layers to it. And then on the other hand, it's wanting to be this in-depth strategy game, but then it's got all the luck of the die pre-mitigated. But there's just my feelings as I was playing it. It feels like the game is trying to be two things, and I think you'd be good to steer it in one of those two directions as a thought. Lean into it more as an approachable game, or lean into it more as a tight strategy game where it's the decisions that really make the outcome and not the game state that affects it quite as much. Just maybe steer it a little bit one in the other direction. The thing that was least intuitive for me, as you mentioned, it was complex, the over/under pay, but then I just got used to looking at that blue number and then add or minusing it on the cards, and then blue is blue and it's got it in the corner. Okay, so that only took me a turn or two to lock it in. But as Evan mentioned, some of the trading. So I think we got it at the end. So I could demand the ability, and then that goes to the dirt with an incentive, and then I can always buy from a player, and then that was different. That didn't have the dirt in it, and it didn't have the over under, if I'm remembering right. That was it. It was just, I don't know. It's maybe a player aid would be really good. So I was writing down a few things to help me understand it better, like less than 5, no dog. Once I wrote it on the board, I didn't have to ask again. The stash was the top. Once I wrote it on the board, it was good for me because you used that terminology and I was still trying to pick it up. The storage underneath, okay. I noticed you said run and speed. It's just consistency of terminology, but okay, I got those, they were synonymous. And then the gather, I wish there was a little player aid that said, like, when, you've got, so maybe it is there. Let me read it before I say too much. On your turn, you may also, so it does say move, activate, buy, build, or reroll. Okay, I guess it just doesn't spell out how it interacts with the other player, the steal, the intention of buying from them, and the intention of borrowing their ability. Maybe those would be helpful things. And then just a graphic design thing on the, I know it's placeholder art, or maybe it's not, but it's a playtest is what I'm saying. On the player board, I like to just bold the first word. You've got the first word, it's the keyword. Move is the keyword. Activate is the keyword. Like just bold it. And then my eyes can just scan down and I can see the 5 actions much quicker because it's just a bunch of sentences. I literally have to read the whole sentence before I understand what I'm going for. So that would just help me. The initial read, I read all the words, but then on subsequent, I'd be like move, buy, activate, build, reroll. Got it. And if I can't remember what buy means, then I read the rest of it. So just would appreciate that for better quickness of the read. But otherwise, it was a fun. Is it a pick up and deliver? Is that the name of the mechanic? I think. And you asked about the theme, complexity, and the uniqueness. Yeah, the over under. I haven't seen a game where with an over under mechanic, and as that is one of your more unique things, maybe bring that more to the front, the forefront. You've got it pretty much in the forefront, but if that's your unique thing, lean into it, is all I'm saying. As far as complexity, I talked about that in the theme. It's cool. The thing I liked most about the theme was that New York City has a 6th borough. Like that was immediately cool because New York City has 5 boroughs. So I wanted to explore the 6th borough. It felt like a hidden borough. Like, why doesn't the world know about New York City's 6th borough? So that was something that I thought was fun about the theme. Crime syndicate, animals, it's cute. It works. Can't say anything much more about the theme, I guess. It works. You know, you got crime lords and stuff, and I can see you really going into the artwork on that. Um, and then, you know, we're animals at the end of the day, and we have grass and twigs, even though we're crime lords, and you know, we make things happen in New York City. At the end of the day, I need grass like everyone else to make my family's needs uh, happen. Um, I appreciate it overall. Like I said, you're on the 6th playtest, so maybe a little rough around a few of the edges, but I think it's got some core elements that were working, and just peeling back the layers for me was took till about turn 2 to till things started to click, and that was because I've played other games that, you know, give me the gamer knowledge to build on. So appreciate it though. Thank you.
Thank you. That was all really great.
Matthew said what I was gonna say. No, I'm kidding. No, he hit on a lot of the things that were coming up for me too. Um, you know, yeah, I think there is a bit of a mismatch between some of the complexity and some of the mechanisms and the art and the complexity. Um, so yeah, kind of decide which way you want to go with it. I am interested in the edges of your rule set, which obviously would take, a lot more playtesting, but what happens if you let somebody get, all the dirt on you, and you just suck up that 20 point deficit, but then you don't have to give anybody anything, but then you're also not getting anything. So I don't know like what the the over under is on engaging with that system or totally disengaging with that system. Um, which I don't know, if it being opaque, like I don't know if if there is a benefit to engaging or not engaging, really. It seems like you just always do it because you don't want those -5 points. So I'm not sure what the like ooh decision point is, you know? Or if I'm just like, well, I don't want -5 points. Okay. Um, so I feel like if you're gonna have that dirt mechanism, I just want it to be a little bit more like juice to it rather than like, well, that's kind of a bummer because I just don't want the -5 points. So, okay, whatever you said, okay, I'll do that. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe if I was gonna do a burrow, but you were gonna take my last thing, but then on my next turn I could just go get that thing. So I don't know, I don't know. I don't know how often you have those moments where I like really care what you're taking or giving. Um, they probably exist. Yeah, it didn't happen to me. I was just like, all right, I just don't want -5 points. So I want to see those. If dirt is in the game, I want to see that be a little more interesting mechanically. Like drive my like, ooh, but if I don't give it to you, then X, Y, or Z. Um, that's an interesting choice. Um, there's a lot of confusion because of lots of parallel rule sets rather than like an overarching like rule set. Um, if I land on your burrow, how is that different than when I land on you as a player? How is that different when I try to buy a resource from you? How is that different from when I try to use your ability? All of these things I know have similar repercussions, but I cannot right now articulate what the differences are. after playing through a round. I know there are differences. So I would say that to me is a great place to, like hone in, like, boom, this is this. And they're not like super overlapping. Like this thing does this thing does this thing does this. Rather than this thing is essentially the same as this thing, but with this one little caveat. This thing, it's essentially the same as this thing, but with a different caveat. And then you got 3 of those. So yeah. And so many rules, exclamation point. I definitely was not following during the teach. But that's not necessarily on you. That's just my brain. Plus I was doing a tech thing. Trying to figure out how to put up our Zoom. But but I think just as a note for teaches, I just totally missed it, but I believe you just started going into detailed rules, like through the flow of detailed rules, rather than like you're looking at a map. This map has spaces. You have a person that moves around on the spaces. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there
Yeah.
was no like orientation to what I'm looking at. It was all just like this one piece right here does this. This one piece right here does this. And I don't have anywhere to like make a frame of reference to start attaching information to. It just goes, okay, well that's a random thing that I might remember in the future or might not.
Right.
Um, so yeah, tell me about a little bit about the forest, and then introduce me to the trees. But I know
Makes sense.
I'm a weirdo, and maybe that's not how everybody else learns best. I don't know. Um, why would I ever buy on the nose?
You wouldn't want to.
Right. So make that interesting. Right? Right now it's just a math equation. Okay, I have the die, is the number this many numbers away from that number, right? It's a lot of comparative math equation, and there's no like, ooh, or should I, you know what I mean? There's no
Mm-hmm.
like alternative. There's, I want to be this many away from the thing that I'm doing. And I kind of have to take multiple steps of math to get to that, which is fine. Um, but I just want it to be an interesting decision point. Rather, like the that differential of gaining points is like if you're not doing it, it's just bad. I want it to be a trade-off.
Okay.
Like, oh well, I didn't get the points, I didn't move the dog, but I got it right on the money, which whatever. I don't know. Who knows? Because I do agree, that the thing that we haven't seen before is that like pay difference and that's good for you. But if it's only you always want to do that, then there's nothing. Then it doesn't have the interesting spice to it as a mechanic. It just goes, oh well, instead of the thing that's printed up there, I actually want this. So it's got to have a little spice. Um, I like the basic idea of that, but you gotta like um, dice colors only exist because of the little favorite, right?
Um, yes.
So that, at least for my brain, there's so much visual information in this game that the juice isn't worth it for the squeeze on that favorite dice color, leading to all these different colors up on the board and me like losing track of what's going on and why I care. Like all these different dice, I'm like, oh wait, I know I like those dice, but wait, if those dice, wait, do I buy things with those dice? Oh no, no wait, no wait. It took me a long time to realize the only reason there are dice colors is because of our one little ability that we get bonuses for those ones. Um, And I think you need a much more compelling reason to have a bunch of different dice colors.
Okay.
And really lean into that, or go a
Or they're
step
all
away
white.
from that and
Yeah.
like let me actually visually grok what's going on the board. You know, because it's a lot easier for my brain to look at a bunch of white dice than to parse a bunch of different colored dice, and because then the pips don't pop out the same, and I can't tell where there are dice left because there's a bunch of other clashing colors on the board. Um, so if they're all one color, it's much more easy to parse the information. And if you're only using the colors for that one little thing, I think it's not worth it to do that. So either make it worth it or make them all one color. That's that's what I do. Because again, like as far as interesting things, +3 VP is like, okay, well that's obviously what I want to do. Right? There's no crux there. She's like, well, yeah, I want those ones. Whereas if there if there's different colored dice in a game, what I expect is, ooh, these are differentially useful. I need these dice to buy leaves and resources. I need these dice to buy people from the zoo. I need these, you know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
think there's going to be like some game interaction. But it's just like, oh, that's just for me. Just bonus points on those
Yep.
ones. Um, and so then when my brain tried to apply those, and it wasn't true, I got even more confused, even though it should be simple. Um, the dog uh, repeatedly came after me. He hit me 4 times during the round, and he hit no one else. Like, I don't know if that's the intention, but it seems very likely to happen that way frequently, where it just tags the same person over and over again. Because once he's near me, he's near me. Um, and if I'm in the lead, I'm in the lead. So it just leads to the same person getting tagged over and over and over and over again. Which, comes down to a die roll as far as like how relevant that is or isn't. Um, which again goes back to the like how deep versus lucky do you want this to be? Um, I ended up not caring because it never affected me, but I definitely know my track record with dice rolling games. And if I had failed that die roll many times in a row, 4 times in a row, I would be not excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whatever that, I don't know what that penalty is, but I would be like super grumpy about it. And so I think there's a potential for a big problem there with the dog. Um, yeah, and then just the fact that your special ability, the running one extra, was undeniably good. My special ability, my sneak, is good unless I roll unlucky. You know what I mean? So yours is just straight up good. Mine is probably good, unless I roll unlucky and then I just have a bad game. Um,
Yeah, for that one, I tried to make the run plus gather the same for everybody.
yeah.
So that's like the trade-off. But then the other two numbers are
Hmm.
arguably like if your highest stat is charm in this
Yeah.
game, then it's like, what do I use it for?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still looking for like a way to make charm or sneak up to the same value as run
Yeah.
or something else.
Right. I totally understand that. I guess my the thing I'm really honing in on is run has a static goodness and sneak does not.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
which isn't an inherent problem, but it would be if I kept rolling a 5 or a 6.
Yep, I
Right?
see what you mean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I'd be like, well, my character sucks. Great. The gather also has a stat. Every time I have an interaction, if I'm playing optimally, I'm getting 1 more point than you are. And I don't know if that's interesting. Like as a difference, if you just play optimally, I'm going to get more points than you. But you're going to go farther, but you going farther to get an extra die is maybe gonna. I don't know. I'm not sure where I'm going on there.
Those are pretty balanced
Yeah, it's like I'm not sure
from
what I'm
what
going
I've
for
seen.
there.
I
I
I
I
see what you mean with the other two though.
I think my big issue with that gather is just that right now it's not quite right. Like there's like an optimal thing, you do that thing. I want there to be a less obvious like, oh well, my gather's 2. I should be getting 2 points every time. I don't know. I just want it to be a little more like, ooh, that's interesting, rather than like, oh, that's what I should do. It's not very useful, is it? Um, and then, where was I? Yeah. The connections, there's a couple places where it's a little just tough to see what the heck's going on, but that's okay. Ultimately, I think I figured it out, and it's a prototype. Heavy versus luck, we already talked about that. The theme versus the heaviness, we already talked about that. Um, Unique, interesting. Yeah, I think the crux of this game is going to end up being that, like that gather thing. Um, I don't know. I don't think it's quite right, but I think it is going to be the crux of the game. Like not like don't do it. I'm saying like the implementation just it needs to be slightly different implementation, but I think that is going to be the interesting, cool thing.
Mhm.
um, yes, we already talked about that. Oh yeah, going last. Um, as far as dice collection goes, is bad. So account for that. Uh, Especially if we end up in a turn order where the game, the round ends on me, and then you start going first again, and then you still get first crack at all the dice. So I'd be like, you know, because you don't have it being exact player turns within each
Ending.
round, so that it can turn out where you get the best selection every single time, or at least I get the worst selection every single time, is how I would look at it. Um,
Is
uh,
that outside of the first player token?
what's that?
Is that discounting the first player token?
I totally forgot about the first player token.
Okay.
The little ghost next to you.
I totally forgot about that first player token. So I can go take that.
Yeah, and then
Um,
you're first.
but that does not obviate the issue in the first round. Because
The
now that
first round one would be whoever chose first is not the person that goes first. Their character.
Mhm. So theoretically, choosing later, I should be able to find a spot where I will not be inadvertently disadvantaged by people going before me.
If you get to pick your character first, then you pick your placement last and you go last. So you would either want to pick the best character for you, or when you're going last, you kind of get stuck with whatever character you want. You end up with like 1 or 2 choices. You would get the
Mhm.
best placement and start first.
Um, I don't know. It sounds like you think that it's perfectly balanced. To me, it seems like it's not.
Yeah. Fair
but
enough.
that's where that is. Um, yeah. If there's enough space on the board where nobody can come over, if I can pick a spot that's far enough away, then I guess it's not that big of a deal. But if I cannot pick a spot that's far enough away, if you can come over, even take one of the dice that I could have gotten, then it feels bad that I would have to go do a special thing in order for that not to continue happening. Like go take that action, waste a turn or waste a part of a turn getting that first player thing. Um, yeah.
That makes sense. I hear you now.
But yeah, if the board's big enough where you literally like can't take any resources from me, which I don't, which I'm not recommending. I think that's not good in a game like this, where it doesn't matter when you go around gathering things that it doesn't affect me at all. Like I don't think that's good. Um, but that's when turn order starts mattering a lot, and you might have to do some different compensations. Um, what else? Did I answer your things? I think so. Bonus. Overspend. Yeah. Yeah. I want to see, I guess just in summary, I want to see that that over underspend. I want to see that be a little more thematically interesting and a little more mechanically interesting. I just want to see it like be kind of the crux of what's happening, and instead of just being like, oh well, that's the best thing to do, just always do that. Be like, ooh, that's an interesting tension point, and then let kind of everything else feed off around that, and then the hone in all the interactions between players so that it's a little bit more streamlined, so that kind of everybody understands how that's working, and that and that those interactions are interesting, um, rather than perfunctory. Like I don't want -5 points. Um, that's what I got. What else, Matthew? Did anything else come up for you?
Um, there was one thing I thought. Oh, 150 victory points, and with games where you've seen players with higher scores, I'm wondering if you could make that smaller, like
Mm,
80 is the average score, maybe in half. Uh, I would just wonder if you could lower the less counting, less.
mm.
I mean, you got a bunch of dice. It's just my thought. When you at the beginning when you said 150 was achievable and more, it's like, oh boy, it helped me get perspective so that I knew the value of a die. 6 points and 150 is my final score. That's actually pretty good. A bunch of sixes start adding up, and suddenly I'm at,
Hmm.
a quarter of my
Mhm.
final score. But I'm just wondering if there's a way that lower than 150. I mean, even Ticket to Ride, what's the high scores in that? Like 120 or something? Um, the Mars Colony game, what's the one I'm thinking of?
Terraforming Mars.
Thank you. I don't think that goes up that high. Like, it's been a while since I played a game where a player would actually score over 150 points. So I'm just wondering if you could rein that in a little bit.
You
That's
could
all.
have got there, man. You were up there.
I was on pace to,
Yeah,
but
you were.
the next round, I don't think I would have gotten so lucky with the greens. Um, and then you guys wouldn't, we would have played more optimally in the second round too. So you guys wouldn't have let me get away with as much, I don't think.
Maybe. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it was like 11 minutes between turns. Um, which isn't the end of the world, but I definitely it seems like in my head the sweet spot for this game is less complex, matches the theme a little bit more. Turns are a little snappier.
Mhm.
Um, levels of luck actually become a little bit more okay. At a snappier pace and with um, less intricate um, rules exceptions and stuff. That's the direction I would go. with
I'm
it.
curious how you think that couples with over/under payment. So I feel like those are dichotomous.
Yeah, in its current iteration, I think that's true. But I'm saying I think there is a kernel of a thing there that if implemented like in that eureka moment, whatever, whatever that I don't know what it is, whatever the like, ooh yeah thing is with that idea, I think that'll be the center point of the game that everything else wheels around, and that'll be the like cool, you know, the cool mechanism that's going on,
Mhm.
and everything else should be, simple, and it in and of itself shouldn't just be a math equation. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, I think that is, yeah, I wouldn't take that away because I think that is the thing that's going to end up being the thing that's the thing for this
Thank you.
game. That's the thing that will be the thing for the game. You get it? Um, cool. Any other
Yeah.
questions come up for you, Brian?
Um, no, I think that covered a lot of it.
Matthew?
It's
All good here?
Okay. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
no, we're good.
Cool. All right. Well, if it strikes me when I'm trying to go to bed, the eureka,
Yes.
because I know what I mean, but since I can't,
Hmm.
since I can't actually articulate anything, like as a, you know what I mean, like I'm not convinced that I'm really making sense about
I'm
it.
sure it will come to me when I fall asleep. It usually does, which
Uh,
is negative 2 hours ago.
oh yeah,
So
let's do
I
that, huh?
will.
Okay, everybody, let's get the heck out of here. What is it? 10:37 for me. Okay, Matthew, thanks for joining us. How can people find and support what you're working on?
Yeah, krillgame.com, the game where the plushie is the box and the discard pile. Uh, I'm working on getting a storefront, so right now it's late pledge, so it's still open. So you got about a week. If you order one, it'll ship from China right now. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait 2 or 3 months for the rest of the inventory to get sent over here on a slow boat. But krillgame.com would be the best way. .com.
Cool. Brian, how can people find and support what you're working on, and or get fame and fortune in their hands, or slash
Yeah,
help make it happen?
you can go to emberleafgames.com, and in there you can find the link to the Kickstarter, Instagram for Fame and Fortune, which is like the big seller. And if you want to support playtests on this game or any other games, you can join our Discord.
Sweet. I'm M. Halbert. Go buy After the Empire. So many copies, so many copies, and I will get a small percentage of each one. Thank you very much. Cool. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Looks like everybody in the chat already left us, but that's okay. Thanks for TK and for Sasha for stopping by and saying hi. And hopefully they will come up with some awesome idea and also message that to you. And yeah, as always, I forgot to come around and tell you that I actually did enjoy playing the game.
Let me circle back to that. Yes.
I was just focused on like, ooh, this, and I never be like, oh yeah, I like walking around on a map and doing stuff. Like I like games. Anyway, uh, thanks everybody for joining us. We will see you next time. We are out of here.